The Hartley Show is an entertainment program and does not own any of the copyrighted material featured in this episode. All copyrighted material featured will be used as fair use for the purposes of criticism, comment, news reporting, and/or research. Taki. Like unto a thing of iron. Today on The Hartley Show, I'm going to be talking about Iron Fist. Hey. So, Iron Fist. This is quite the divisive show. Although, having said that, I don't think I've come across anybody that loves the show. I've heard plenty of I like the show, but of course, by and large, people are complaining about it and calling it horrible, which is fair. It has some absolutely atrocious moments. Maybe my least favorite moment in televised nerdy history ever, episode 6 of the show. Ugh. But I'm not going to start off talking about the show itself, the nuances of it. I want to talk about the differences between Iron Fist, the comic, and Iron Fist, the Netflix show initially, because it's the most changed overall. Now, Iron Fist, if you're unfamiliar with, is a character by the name of Danny Rand. He's a billionaire's son, and on a trip to the Himalayas, his father's business partner, Mr. Meacham Dude, he decides to betray his best friend and business partner because he's in love with his wife. He pushes him off a cliff. Danny watches his dad die. And then, of course, his mother, isn't really into the guy who just murdered her husband. And he leaves them to go die in the Himalayan mountains. And she, at some point, sacrifices herself to save him when they're being attacked by wolves. And at that point, the magical denizens of Kunlun save Danny Rand, and he grows up in this mystic city by the name of Kunlun and grows up to become this thing called the Iron Fist through rigorous training and fighting a dragon. Now, in the TV show, his parents die completely non-heroically in a plane crash. Very, very big departure from that, and Meacham himself isn't a part of that at all. So right off the bat, there's a massive difference in his origin story. Some other differences with the character of Iron Fist in the Netflix show and the character of Iron Fist in the comics is there's this main plot, this subplot that I hated so much. As of this taping, I haven't finished watching the show. I'm on the penultimate. I just finished the penultimate episode. I'm about to get on the last episode. But there's been this subplot of Danny Rand bottling up his feelings, and then they burst out like childish sort of dog-like rantings. It's really infantile. I have no idea why they decided to include this weird little storyline. And I think things like that were part of the main bulk of the complaint. They're these just goofy moments in the TV show. But there I go. I'm going off about the TV show and not the comparisons again, like I just said I was going to do. So in the comics, Iron Fist, by the time we're introduced to him, he already has complete control over all of his abilities. He understands the full range of what the Iron Fist can do. In the TV show, his training was interrupted, and it's ultimately just a very, very different take on Iron Fist. And I'm okay with different takes. I'm always willing to see what somebody else has to say with the concept of a character. The Netflix show does a lot of neat little things. It has a completely unique take on the Hand that I've never seen before, which does involve Colleen Wing, and that part bothered me to no end. Colleen Wing is probably the best part of the show, and she's a fair departure as well. We were introduced to her through her father before we were introduced to Colleen Wing herself. So far, her father has played no role whatsoever in the show. So there's a lot of big changes like that, but again, I'm willing to accept those changes. Yeah. It's important to know that Iron Fist, despite the fact that it's been completely derided by everybody, fans and critics, although, actually, let me take that back a little second, because as of today on Rotten Tomatoes, it's gotten an 18% from critics, but an 84% from viewers. That's a huge, huge difference there. So it's telling you there's a massive disparity. There's obviously a lot of people that are enjoying it, but obviously it's not terribly good overall. So let's get into this. Let's unpack this a little bit. Now, for me, I was enjoying the show. It's sort of a goofy, schlocky show where the lead doesn't really obviously have any really physical capabilities. Right from the get-go, you can tell the guy has never really had any real martial arts training. It's pretty obvious that the most limited action guy on the show is the lead himself, and that's that's a hard hurdle to get over when everybody on the show does action scenes better than the lead, who's supposed to be, the the master of like mystic martial arts and all that stuff. It's a big hurdle. I was able to get over that easily enough because I grew up in the 70s with crap like the $6 Million Man, Wonder Woman, and the Hulk. And for whatever reason, I don't know what it is with my generation that loves to forget how horrible the stuff we grew up was like, but I don't. I mean, the Hulk just threw people. Wonder Woman just threw people and lifted up the back of cars, and I don't even know what Steve Austin did other than go and run in slow motion. Finn Jones, I think he's a fairly competent actor, but clearly he's not a terribly good action actor, and that was a huge part of the problem. Now, the first big part of the show where it fell apart for me was episode number 6. It's this sort of gauntlet episode where he's given this challenge by the hand to fight these people to accomplish some sort of goal. I'm trying to not be too spoilery here, but obviously I'm going to spoil a lot. And there's this moment where I believe it was his second challenger is a sort of Black Widow-esque character, this ninja gal who uses spider venom as her main sort of thing. And it's one of the stupidest scenes I've ever seen in anything in my life. He's in a fight to his death, but he takes a moment to let this woman get weirdly seductive and touch him and hug him and stab him in the back. Just so unbelievably stupid. I suspect a big part of why it was so dumb is because they know that this guy has, Finn Jones, big limitations as an action hero. So they're trying to come up with ways while they're filming the show to not make it so action-centric, even though this fucking Iron Fist, for crying out loud. I mean, fucking, come on. Oh, episode 6. It broke me. I wasn't even sure I was going to be able to keep on watching past that point. But I am glad to say that by episode 7, it turned right around again. But then I think it came to episode 10 or so, and maybe one of the dumbest scenes I've ever seen in a show again occurred. There's a moment when, spoiler alert, the Meachams get ousted out of Rand Enterprises. They're done. They've been fired. And then somehow, one of them holds a meeting with all the members of the board and talks about their company and what she was fired. How was she able to hold a meeting? Why are they listening to her? Yeah, there's a moment where someone's killed and they make it look like a suicide, but he's shot in the head from a distance. Just all these moments that are just so unbelievably stupid, but then they're wrapped around sort of neat stuff. The whole storyline with the elder Meacham being resurrected by the hand, and then, spoiler alert, becoming immortal. That stuff was really cool, especially the little bit where he loses a little part of himself. There's this great moment, and yes, I'm actually going to call it a great moment, where they have ice cream. Just a great little moment, man. So there's gems in the show. I'm hoping it ends well. So some of the highlights of the show, the things that I really enjoyed about the show is the actress who plays Colleen Wing is fantastic. And every single action scene she's in is just magnificent. She was brilliantly cast and really sells herself perfectly. And it was really great to see good old Claire, night nurse, back Rosario Dawson in the show. Although I do think they kind of shoehorned her a little bit. There's this moment where she puts on some little hand claw weapons and all of a sudden she's a total badass and taking on ninjas and highly trained soldiers in a way that was a little disingenuous and over the top. I loved seeing her in the show, so I was a little torn on that. You know, our director just asked me, would you recommend it to somebody? And honest to God, I don't know if I can. It's something that I can't say don't watch it, it's horrible, but I can say watch it, it's great. To me, it's right in the middle. By far the worst of the Netflix shows, in my opinion. The biggest change from the comic character to the TV show, the making him a little whiny and not in control of his powers, and you know, the difference with his parents not getting their heroic origin. It is interesting to note that it actually got the most viewers of all the Netflix shows next to Luke Cage. So it's got the viewership. It's almost undoubtedly going to get a season 2. From all accounts, it is just this giant setup to Defenders. So if you feel the need to watch everything that completes all the Netflix Marvel stuff up into the Defenders, well, then I guess you'd feel compelled to watch it. I won't say avoid it like the plague, but if you have low tolerance for horrible cheese, then avoid it like the plague, because there are some bad moments. So, Iron Fist, it's not the best by any stretch. It's not the absolute worst, although episode number 6, in my opinion, is one of the most horrible things that's ever happened in genre, comic television, or movies, or anything like that. But, you know, it's a vital, important part of what's going to lead up to Defenders, so you might want to watch it. I can't recommend it. I can't say avoid it like the plague, unless you just have a low tolerance for schlock. But the Ed Brisson comic is absolutely fantastic, so go pick up Iron Fist #1 in stores today. So as always, a giant thanks to you for watching, a massive thanks to Taz for letting us film here, and let me know what you think about all this. Enough of me flapping my gums. Why don't you give us some comments in the comment section on YouTube? Go find us on Facebook. Go harass me on Twitter. Hey ya.